everyone. Welcome to TSAM. My name is Anna, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Joe Lichtenberg. He is the Global Head of Product and Industry Marketing with an emphasis on financial services at InterSystems. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Anna. It's great to be here today.
It's wonderful to have you with us. So, Joe, when it comes to their data, what challenges are you seeing asset management firms having to tackle, and what does this mean for them as a business?
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, so what we see is that really all asset management firms want to make better use of their data. They have lots and lots of data. That's not the issue. The issue is how do they better leverage and harness all of this data to create a single end-to-end trusted, current, and accurate version of the truth that they can use to address a wide variety of different business initiatives so that everybody inside the organization and even clients and people outside the organization are all working from the same and accurate and up-to-date set of data. And that's really pervasive across the industry.
So there have been solutions in the market to help these types of problems for a few years now. Why do you think the challenges still exist?
Absolutely. There have been lots and lots of different approaches. And I have been in the data management industry for a very long time, for decades, working with financial services firms as well as customers in different industries as well. And, you know, this is really the same problem that asset management firms have been trying to solve for decades. And there have been, as you say, many different approaches to try to solve this data challenge. And I mean, there's many, right? I mean, there's manual methods, there's spreadsheets, there's web services and enterprise service buses. 20 years ago, I was working with companies where we were introducing those technologies and approaches. You know, now very common, we see data warehouses and data marts and cloud data marts. There's integration platforms. Some firms are using data lakes, again, custom development, and probably others that I can't think of. And, you know, all of these approaches have added value, but all of them, every single one of them have limitations around, you know, number one, latency from working with batch data and sort of batch and static ETL processes. They're brittle, so they're not flexible, so they can't, you know, easily adjust to handle new data sources and new data structures and new workflows and processes to answer new questions. And especially, you know, what firms want is to be able to ask and answer ad hoc questions from the business or from regulators, right, in the moment, without having to go back to IT, without requiring lots of rework from IT. And then they're not designed to handle all of the data in the enterprise, right? So, like, for example, data marts are really, really good for answering specific questions using a subset of data, right? But they're not going to give you an end-to-end, up-to-date, enterprise-wide data layer that are going to feed the needs of the entire business, right? There is, now it's very exciting, there's a new architectural approach. It's called an enterprise data fabric. All of the data management analysts and the financial services analysts are all excited about it. They're all recommending it. Gartner actually calls it the future of data management. So what's different about this approach to data? Well, it's a fundamentally different approach that connects all of the consumers of the data, right? Whether that's your front office teams or your quants and analysts or your reporting systems or dashboards or applications for risk and so forth, right? Being fed from one consistent and accurate end-to-end single source of truth from all of the various source systems, including vendor systems and so forth, so that everybody's working from the same and accurate and current set of data, right? And this enterprise data fabric approach eliminates the delays and the brittleness and the complexities that are usually associated with all of these prior approaches that I talked about. So with an enterprise data fabric, the data is accessed on demand from the source systems as it's needed, right? So it's pulled in dynamically as it's needed. And then a whole range of different data management processes can be applied in flight for things like data validation and reconciliation and transformation and applying business rules and different kinds of analytics. And there's a single consistent structure and a single consistent metadata layer across all of the data and common semantics to create representations among different data elements that come from different sources. And it's very exciting. So we're seeing it address most, if not all, of these limitations with prior approaches. And we're also seeing that it's gaining rapid adoption really in all industries, but especially in asset management.
So, if I was an asset manager, what advice would you give me to help me start overcome these challenges, and what benefits could I expect to see?
Yeah. So first, with this architectural approach, you don't need to turn off or unplug any of your existing, data management initiatives. So data from data warehouses and your data marts and your data lakes and so forth can basically plug into this enterprise data fabric along with data from the service providers and vendor applications and databases and flat files and so forth. So it's non-disruptive. And, the recommendation is to look for new use cases that will bring, real measured quantitative value to the business, right? And then work incrementally to build and populate your enterprise data fabric with the data that you need to address those use cases, and then continue to build out and add more use cases and pull in more data, right? And so the data in the data fabric can power many different use cases that you have across the business so that you can build out incrementally, and then you're gaining, reuse from the data, but of course, you're also gaining business value from every project that you implement along the way. And then I think your other question is, so what are we seeing in terms of business applications and the business value that firms are getting from this new approach? And we see many. So I'll give you some examples from what we're seeing from our customer base. Sort of first and foremost, with asset management firms is how do they improve investment performance? And so being able to deliver to the front office more data in a usable format, delays, and then allowing the front office teams to be able to drill into the data, to really explore it and really understand what the data is telling them, and then also to provide them with different types of analytics for predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics and so forth. All provides value around improving investment performance. I think just generally allowing the business users to be able to make better business decisions. And that's sort of a wide net, but it could be around, sort of anything, whether it's product or what's happening in the market. We're seeing a lot around automating internal reporting and client reporting so that you not only give the business, sort of better and more current information, but also to be able to improve client engagement and retention, and not with siloed data sources, all working from the same accurate data so that everybody's looking at the same data. We see a lot around regulatory compliance. So that's, always big with asset management firms. Reducing risk. So, always there's been, a desire to better understand the risk profiles of all of the assets and portfolios. But especially now, being able to predict for scenario planning to avoid risks like duration risk, like a Silicon Valley Bank, and ESG risk, and so forth. So there's a lot around by automating what had been previously manual processes and being able to automate in a repeatable way. You reduce errors and you have a single sort of representation of the data. You can increase operational efficiencies and lower costs, right? And there are plenty of other benefits to the business as well. But those sort of at the high level are what we're seeing from our customers.
So once they have their data readily available, what could these firms then look to do with that data to become more competitive?
Well, and I think it's all those things that that we talked about, right? So there's many different business applications. I'll give you one more example. So one of our customers right now is using the data and the predictive analytics in the enterprise data fabric for trade cost analysis, right? So that's not a use case that necessarily we saw, but our customer came to us and said, hey, why can't I take all of this data that I have and take all of the trade execution data and then stream in all of the market data? It's like terabytes of data for all of the similar trades that happen across the entire market, and be able to run analytics on which of the different brokers in the market would have given them better trade execution, and then create predictive and prescriptive models to take that analysis and bake that into their trade execution going forward. And they're in the process of building this out, and they expect that that will save them millions of dollars in trading costs and allow them to get the best trade execution for every trade going forward. So there's many use cases just around having better use of sort of this enterprise-wide data layer.
And are you working with anyone who is leveraging this new approach to data management?
We are, and actually we're working with a lot of firms. Our flagship product, InterSystems Iris, and a managed service offering specifically for asset management firms that we call Asset Management Total View. It's being used by a number of different asset management firms. I'll give you one example. One of our customers is Harris Associates. They're an asset management firm. They manage just over $100 billion in AUM. They also own and operate the Oakmark funds, mutual funds, and they're part of the Natixis Investment Managers Group that manages $1.4 trillion in assets under management. And they're implementing a number of these use cases that I've just talked to you about. And I will tell you, their CTO is a very experienced asset management professional. He's been in the business for decades. Prior to Harris Associates, he spent almost 20 years at JP Morgan Asset Management. He knows all the tech, right? He's been through it. He knows data warehouses and data lakes and manual methods and so on. And his best quote is that he said, and I quote, "I've been working with data for 25 years. We've been through a few solutions. With InterSystems, we finally found something that works," end quote. So I will leave you with that. I love that quote from their CTO.
That's wonderful, Joe. Thank you for sharing that quote with us. And thank you also for sharing your insight today. I know that the asset management community really appreciates it. We look forward to having you with us very soon.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much, Anna.